Hello, I'm back. My name's Mills. I live in the Dominican Republic, and I just want to help everyone. If you are interested in moving abroad, traveling in general, not necessarily abroad, etc. I want to share some tips with you on how to stay safe as a single female going alone. If you can hit subscribe before I get started, that would be awesome. All right, let's go to my spot on the floor, as usual. Oh, my knee hurts. I'm getting old. I talk a lot about moving abroad, living abroad, being in the Dominican Republic, etc. What I don't say so much about is how to be safe as a female living abroad. There are tips that are good for anyone, whether you travel the world by yourself or you're just starting out. Number one, I think it's super helpful to learn the language. That is obviously something that you learn as you're there a lot of the time. Like, I wasn't fluent in Spanish when I moved here, and I'm still not 100% fluent. But I would, before you have a trip, I would just get the basics down. Asking someone where the bathroom is, that's an emergency. Asking them for a cab, things like that, directions. Basics are really important because if you're in a pinch, facial expressions don't always work. Mine are pretty strong, but still people are like, what? And I'm like, obviously I'm like telling the story with my expressions, but it doesn't always register. So make sure you learn the basics. Good. Make sure you learn the basics of the language and just key terms or expressions that you should know how to say. If you're in a pinch and you don't have internet, you can't translate on your phone, just to keep you safe. Okay, also health insurance. This applies to males and females, but I'm kind of going to go off and you'll see the connection. Make sure that before you move, you know that your health insurance is taken care of, whether through your employer or privately. I would also investigate insurance that applies in your home country and abroad. That might be a really good option, and it's definitely worth it just to have in case of any situation. If you're going on a short trip, definitely get the travel insurance or have a credit card that has travel insurance on it. If you're going for longer term, make sure you take care of the things. Have your medication that you need beforehand. Shipping's hard. Sometimes it's not available where you are. Your ID on you, your health insurance card, any emergency contact, maybe have that on a card or in your phone. The way that this relates to females in particular is a lot of countries don't have birth control, or it's harder to get access to birth control or emergency contraceptive things. And if that is something that applies to you, make sure you take birth control with you before you go, so you have that prescription available, because you might not be able to refill it where you are. And a lot of countries are really strict on their laws, and men are less likely to kind of help in contraceptive matters. So make sure that you're kind of taking responsibility for that as well. And wherever you're going, understand the local culture a little bit. So do some research beforehand. If you're from, I'm thinking how to say this nicely. A lot of other places think that Western girls, I'll even go as far as to say American girls, are easier. So even if you're dressed super modestly, you might find people being kind of forceful. It might even be the culture there anyway, if it's kind of more of a male dominated society or culture. They might not take rejection as well. Take extra precautions to know kind of what you're going into beforehand. I know some people who wear a fake wedding ring when they're traveling, just because some men are so what's that word? They're so, I don't even know. They're so determined. That's not, they just don't leave you alone no matter what. Even if you say, no, I'm not interested, go away, stop, they just won't. And sometimes if they see a ring, they respect that more, which is pathetic. And a lot of people don't feel comfortable lying about that. I've never worn a fake wedding ring, but I have friends who have done that and they say that it works for them. Protect yourself before you're getting any type of relationship with a local or another expat or traveler. Make sure at least someone knows where you are if you're gonna go hang out with that person. Be like naive. Don't put yourself in a situation that you know is dangerous. Like at least one person should know where you are, like even address, like down to that. Dating longer term, make sure you know the culture around dating, what's kind of the norm, so you're not surprised at anything. Again, just do some research so you know the basics of how relationships work in that culture, so you're not surprised. But also make sure you know the other person's intentions well. A lot of the times it's hard to determine what's real and what's not, and kind of like get carried away on a trip, or even if you move to the country, it's hard to like not get caught up in the moment and think it's like you're madly in love with someone, which I'm not saying that doesn't happen. Like I met my boyfriend when I moved to the Dominican Republic, but I will say, especially if you're gonna move to the Dominican Republic or travel here, just be aware of like a lot of guys' intentions with you. A lot of guys here do think that Americans are easy. They want visas to move to the United States. They want money because they think that you or your family have money. They just want like a good time. Just be careful. I'm not saying every guy is like that, obviously, but something to look out for and just protect yourself against. And that's more like protect yourself financially and emotionally as well. Also, don't let anyone in your house that you don't know. If it's a landlord or something, okay, but workers, make sure you're there like observing them, or have someone with you there, like a painter or something, for example, if you're alone and you're a female, because you never know like who's in your house. Also, they might be looking at what you have, so make sure you're not leaving valuables laying around. Make sure you're just not like letting people into your house that you don't really know, because I've heard a lot of stories about people getting robbed from their friends. Just like create a relationship and trust before you like bring them over to your house, or just be super like watchful if you are in your house. And like I said, don't leave the valuables and things out and let them like roam around, I guess. But if you're a woman and you live alone, definitely be careful with who's coming in and out of your house. With that, if you live alone, don't tell anyone where you live. Don't be like saying your address or saying, oh yeah, I live alone. Like just say you have a roommate or you live with a family, or you know, you live on the street, but you don't need to say what exact apartment you live in. Just another way, because people talk, and if they want to rob you or whatever, it will be easier if they know exactly where you live. I would also say to make sure that you make friends with locals. I think it's super helpful, and they help you out when you're in certain situations that other expats, they just don't understand, or they can't help the same way. So I think it's safer when you're with locals. So be careful and be smart, but obviously make friends with locals. That's why you moved to where you are, or you're traveling where you are, to like experience different cultures. So don't just hang out with expats. I would make like some expat friends, because I think that's super helpful as well in terms of like adjusting to the country, or specific questions about like insurance or visas, or things that like the locals don't really have to think about in the same way. Definitely like have expat friends, have local friends. As a female, be really careful and like aware of people that might be trying to scam you. Whether you're in a taxi and they're saying like the car machine's broken, so you have to pay cash and it's more, that's a scam. Or like the Uber that says they can't pay through the card, that's usually a scam. But I feel like a lot of the times it happens to females a lot because we're nicer. No, just like be aware of people trying to take advantage of you in those ways as well, just like upcharging you and things, and don't feel bad being like questioning it. I would also say adjust to the local culture, but don't be insane. Like here, I've ride on motorcycles sometimes on the back, like if I'm trying to go not in the city, but when I lived in the small town, like a moto taxi. There's a line between like adapting and adjusting and like just completely like losing your common sense. Don't like stand up in a moving truck like outside. Like I see people in like beds of trucks like standing up, and I've definitely like done stupid things like that, and then I look back and I'm like, why did I do that? Like you would never do that in your home country, and like people are worse. They're like driving crazier here, and there's like the roads are worse. So I don't know. It's, yeah, don't get like too carried away. Don't like put yourself in situations that you know could be dangerous, but you're like living in the moment. Definitely live in the moment. See, I'm like contradicting myself. Live in the moment, do awesome things, explore, like have amazing adventures, but don't put yourself in dangerous situations where someone can like take advantage of you, rob you, assault you. You're alone at night wandering around. Don't do that. Don't have your phone like out on the street just hanging out for anyone to take. Don't ride a motorcycle with no helmet by yourself and you've never driven one before, and you're also in a place that's like super dangerous to drive. Things like that. And don't have your money all over the place. Don't tell people how much money you have. Don't show it all the time. Don't carry all of it. Like get one of those like travel belts that you can put under your shirt. Just, you know, be smart, be safe, don't be too trusting, but don't let like your fear inhibit your experiences or your like overall experience, if that makes sense. Just, you know, be smart and use your intuition. It's crazy how like you can be in a situation, get a feeling, and usually you're right about that. So I would say to listen to that and not kind of like be like, oh, it's fine, I don't want to be like lame, or like not say I don't want to drink that drink because I feel weird, I didn't see who made it, like things like that. Like that's not lame at all. That's like, it's being smart. Below your best tips or anything I left out that you have found helpful as a female traveler, just to keep you safe and comfortable when you're abroad or when you're in a new place. And thank you for watching, and I will see you guys soon.